Good.
All right. All
All
right.
right.
Cool.
So yeah. So basically, what I was saying is, today I want to. I'm doing a special episode today. I want to bring in I want to introduce a person that I truly consider a very inspirational individual. Someone who spent a long time in prison and was able to come out of prison and still have a functional life. And there's a lot of my friends are in prison right now, and the reason I wanted to make this video is because I wish that maybe this video can find a young person out there who might be, going in that wrong direction. And I want you guys to hear it from a person who experienced it himself on the reality of being in prison, the reality of going to jail. What happens to a person, you know, the moment they get locked up to the end of their prison sentence. Usually when you watch a documentary online, people are always trying to like glorify prison and how it was they had such a fun time, and then they was holding it down, and they never share the bad stories, the bad side of going to prison. And this is a person that found my channel. I don't know what it was, like 4 years ago, Damon.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years. Yep.
This is a person that found my work like 4 years ago, and at first he wasn't really, he wasn't buying into it, but then little by little he started seeing that this is the real deal. And in one of his phone calls, he told me that he spent what was it, like 25, 28 years,
28. Yep.
28
28.
years in prison. I was like, wow, look at that. And what's amazing about Damon is that he's still sane after all that time being in prison. So I really found you very inspirational, my brother. To be honest, man.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
Can you tell the audience like where you from, and how was your youth growing up?
Well, I'm from Compton. I grew up in Compton, L.A. L.A. is really just the county. Compton is like the city that's in L.A. County, but far as with the gang culture and whatever, there's a little bit of difference between Compton and LA, once you're in it. But yeah, I grew up in Compton with two brothers. My mom, pops wasn't there. One of those typical narratives where the father isn't there. So it's just, mom, her three boys, and, the occasional boyfriend that come through. But my childhood was pretty good, for the most part. I mean, me and my brothers, we got along great up until one point. Me and I'm the youngest, so I have a brother that's a year older than me, and a brother that's 4 years older than me. The brother that's 1 year older than me and him fought all the time, But other than that, yeah, I grew up in Compton, and it was typical childhood stuff, playing football, with the neighborhood kids, playing basketball, baseball, and all that old stuff. It was cool, but we moved often, and at one point when I was 12, we moved to a specific area of Compton where it looked beautiful. When we first got there, it was like, man, we thought we didn't came up. It was like a suburban, the suburbs, the houses were beautiful, the streets, the lawns, everything was cool. But, behind the veil of that was a gang culture that was very intense, one that we had never seen, at our previous, houses that we lived in. So yeah, that was kind of like, it took an adjustment, to get, to adjust to that. And I didn't adjust well, put it that way. I didn't adjust well to it.
So like what year was this around what year did you start looking into gangs and getting involved?
Well, I moved to that area in 1981, and I was 12. My older brother was 13. And I distinctively remember us, looking out of the window one day and seeing the guys, moving up, around the street or whatever, the gang members. and they were very, very aggressive. And me and my brother was like, man, we ain't never, getting involved in none of that gang stuff. We were cool. My oldest brother, the one that's 4 years older than, he didn't really hang with us much. He was, doing his thing. He was like one of those guys who was tasked with, well, you got to help your mom. Whenever you first start working or whatever, you got to help with bills and all that old stuff. So yeah, I didn't start getting into the gang stuff until maybe a couple of years after that. And part of it was because of it was almost like a necessity. Hold on one second. Let me get my light right. Yeah, it was almost like a necessity because I was one of those guys I was very skinny, had these big chubby cheeks, liked to joke, liked to laugh, whatever. But I was also a target, for the gang members. It's like, so, getting bullied and whatnot. I mean, I think for the most part, probably 70-75% of us get bullied. The other 25 is just, they're so out of the way that the bullies don't see them. And, others, they do the bullying, you know, but I was the one that was getting, picked on a lot. So at one point I was like, man, in order for me to stop being bullied so much, I got to start, being with these guys. I got to start running with these guys. My brother, he started gang banging before me. My older brother, he started gang banging, but he wasn't a part of the gang where we lived. It was, he started gang banging with a group of people that was, across the way, maybe like, 2 or 3 miles down the way, because he didn't too much care or respect for the guys that were gang banging in that neighborhood that we were in. He didn't like them, but me, I was around them, and I used to hang out with, some of the guys that weren't gang banging. And you always have your own little crew, so that's what I did. I had my own little crew, but we wasn't, we was 13, 14. We wasn't involved in the gang stuff. But even though we would speak the lingo, we would say, we were Crips. So, I would, we would say cuz, we would wear the colors and whatnot, but we wasn't active. We were bad. We would go out, stealing bikes and, all that old type of stuff, but we wasn't, looking for trouble with rival gang members. But then one day, I remember it was maybe like 5 of us, we was going out to, ride our bikes, and we was, basically looking to get into some type of mischief, but we wanted to go to the store first. So we went to the store, and it was a bunch of gang members hanging out at that store. And me, I was maybe like 14 at the time, 14, maybe 15, but I think I was 14. And, they surrounded us, and one of the guys I actually, end up hanging out with him in prison, oddly enough. But yeah, one of the guys, he was grown at the time, so all these guys surrounded us. We went to school with these guys and all this old stuff, but they surrounded us, and I was the tallest. I was 14 out. Not only was I the oldest, but I was the tallest. So they was like, okay, you must be, the leader of these little dudes or whatever. And they first they wanted to steal my bike. But and I was like, come on, man, thinking to myself, man, you a grown ass man, you got beard or whatever. I'm just a kid, But he was like, no, I don't want the bike now. I want your jacket, because I had a members only jacket, which was a popular jacket back in the early 80s or whatever. And long story short, he was ready to bust me over the head with a bottle because I took too long to give him my jacket. There was this one guy that I went to school with, seen it about to happen, and he was like, "Nah, man, don't do that." You know what I'm saying? Don't hit him with it. So he took the bottle from the guy. The guy was drunk, of course. So instead of taking the bottle and hitting me with it, he punched me. And I'm scared as hell. So I took off running, and we all scattered. All of us, scattered, but for the most part, he was on me. So he chased me, couldn't get away. It's hard to catch a scared dude. So I got away, and later the next day, I don't know if it was a conscious decision or not. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. He asked each and every one of us what gang you're from, and I'm still kind of fairly new to that area, and I hadn't started gang banging or anything. Everybody that I was with named a gang, named that gang, right? But I wasn't comfortable enough to name again because I never got jumped on or anything like that. So everybody named the gang except for me. So that really made it be easy to target me because I have no protection or anything, So that's when he, got aggressive and hit me and whatever. So yeah, I think unconsciously I felt at that time, in lieu of that event, I had to choose up. I had to pick a side, and that's eventually what I did.
Did you retaliate against the guy?
No, I didn't retaliate against him at that time. Nope. I mean, we got into it like when I started actually being, from the gang or whatever. We got into it with that gang, and I was able to get some get back, not against him, but we were kind of like rivals with that gang, in the sense that we used to fight that gang. I mean, I used to see it, before I started, actually gang banging. I used to see the rivalry, what I'm saying, but I wasn't a part of it until I actually, got, courted on or whatever, jumped in or whatever. And that's when, I started getting involved in those little skirmishes.
So, like, how old was you when you first started getting into trouble? Like, how old were you when you went into prison? And what did you do to get into prison?
Well, I started going to jail shortly after high school. I graduated high school in '87, and probably from the summer of '88, which probably a year after high school, up until '89, I went to jail maybe 4 or 5 times. Just back and forth to small drug offenses. A couple of rocks. Bags of weed. Small stuff where I never did more than a weekend in jail. But I never learned my lesson. It never scared me enough to, go to straight and narrow. I didn't know anything about. I didn't have a job. Well, I got one job at one point, but it was short lived. But then in '89, that's when I got locked up for a murder. It was a situation where it was this one guy from my set that he used to ask me a lot, let's go put in work. Let's go put in work, and I'll be like, nah, because that wasn't my thing. I wasn't a shooter. Putting in work basically mean let's go, shoot at our enemies or whatever. And that wasn't my thing. I never wanted to do that, I really just wanted to I just want to kick back and play with the girls, play with, go out, go to parties, go club. I used to rap, sing, I wanted to do that type of stuff,
Because I remember back like in the '90s, the gang members got all the girls. They were like the popular kids.
Yeah, and it's still the same way. Not necessarily gang members, but we all know girls, women. They like bad boys. They like that edge, So that was one of the perks. I hate to say it, but that was one of the perks of being a gang member.
It's a reality. It's true.
Yeah. So this guy, he asked me a lot. And I don't want to say a lot, maybe 2 or 3 times he asked me. And I would always say no. I'm good. Now, on this particular time, he asked me in front of a bunch of our homeboys, people our age, people younger, older, because my house at the time was the hangout spot. So when he asked me, I didn't have enough heart or strength to tell him no, because I wanted to save face in front of these people, and my thing was, I don't want them to think that I'm soft. This is my thought process. I didn't want them to think that I'm soft. I know I ain't never, did no shooting before, at least no, just went out. I've done a shooting to protect myself, but I've never just went out and aggressively like, okay, we finna shoot at these guys. I've never done that. And I felt self-conscious about that all the time. So when he asked me, in front of all these people, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And, that was a bad decision.
How old was you at that time?
I was 1989. I was like a month from turning 20. So I was 19.
A young kid. And you say you had no father at home, right? So
no father at home. No
okay,
father.
so you
And
guys
he was 17.
Oh, he was actually younger than you. He was already thinking like that.
Yeah. He was a juvenile at the time.
So you guys go up to a group of gang members, and then what happens?
Yeah, we go up to a group of gang members, and I start firing. We drove up the street. It was a drive-by, so I started firing. Go up the street a little bit more. He started firing, and I didn't hit anybody. I ain't gonna say I didn't try, because I was trying. But you can just imagine, I'm scared as hell, leading up to that spot, that time. I'm hoping and praying that, the police get behind us, or something, some type of divine intervention happens to keep me or keep us from going along with this. You know what I'm saying? But, sometimes that's what I tell people, you gotta man up and make that decision yourself. You can't, because once you get in that position, your homeboys is going to expect you to go through with it.
Yeah, that peer pressure is really a bad thing.
Yeah, that peer pressure is,
and it's a powerful thing too.
Yeah. So I didn't hit anybody. Drove up the block a little bit more, seen some more people still out. He started dumping, and he hit somebody. But we didn't know he hit anybody. So, in our young, immature minds, instead of just going home, getting rid of the stolen car and, giving the guns to whoever or tossing the guns or whatever, we go out and we doing, we go out to a different city and we doing little small robberies,
That same day?
That same night.
Wow.
That same night, mainly because we didn't think we hit anybody. That's the main reason. Even though it would have been dumb for us to, go out and do robberies, but we didn't think we hit anybody. And then, so we did a couple of small robberies, just robbing people, not businesses or anything like that. And then on our way home, unbeknownst to us, the stolen car that we was in, the license plate fell off. So when the police got behind us, they seen that, and that's when they tried to pull us over. High speed chase ensued and all this old stuff, and we end up getting booked and whatnot. And
you guys had the weapons on you, so they was able to trace the weapon to the shooting.
Well, we had them on us, but we tossed them, but they found them. During the chase, they found them.
And then at court, they sentenced you. Did you go? Did you fight the case?
Yeah. Well, I end up taking a plea and for 17 years to life, and he got 25 years to life. I got. So
your friend is still in prison?
No, he's out now. He got out. He got out last year. So he got out like 6 years after me.
25 to life means you serve 25 and then you're eligible for parole?
Yeah. Well, 25 to life back then was you do maybe 17 and then you're eligible for parole, but you have to go in front of a parole board and convince them that you're rehabilitated. But back then, when we first went to prison, they, if you had a life sentence, they wasn't letting you out. You can jump
That's
to.
what I'm trying to understand. What's the difference between somebody getting life and getting 25 to life?
Well, a regular life sentence is technically on the books is 7 years. So you'll be eligible for parole after 7 years if you just got a life sentence. I sentence you to life in prison. They don't do that out here anymore. They don't just give you a life sentence anymore. It's either a number before it or life without
the possibility.
Parole. Yeah. So, and the cold thing was, my co-defendant at the time was 17. So he was a juvenile. If he wanted to, and he was, I got to admit, he was a little off. Because if he wanted to, he could have went to juvenile hall, and juvenile hall, they got to release you back then once you hit 25, provided you're not messing up and, fighting and all that old stuff.
But so you could have came home in like 8 years.
Yeah, but he didn't want to go to juvenile hall for some reason. He didn't want to. I don't know why, but like I say, he was a little off. He had his issues, But yeah, I got 17 to life for the 2nd-degree murder. Like I was telling you before, in California, if you're with somebody who commits a murder and you're active with them, you're going to get a life sentence. So I got 17 to life for 2nd-degree murder, 15 plus 2 for the gun, 17 to life.
Also, they didn't charge you for the robberies because they never found out about those.
No, they didn't know nothing about the robbery,
So tell us, so once you go into prison, what is it like from day one to the day you leave? Like, what did you see? What did you experience in there?
Or from day one, it was very scary. It was very scary for me.
What prison was you at?
Well, when you do 28 years, you're going to hit a lot of different prisons, more than likely. So I was at Pelican Bay, I was at Old Folsom, I was at New Folsom, Corcoran. I hit maybe like six, at least 6 different prisons. Some of them I hit twice. So yeah, when I was young, going into the system at 21 years old, really 20 going into the system, the first yard I hit in prison was, aside from the reception yard, was Pelican Bay. And Pelican Bay had so many bad rumors about it, this notorious prison and whatnot. And it was bad, but the bad part about it was the security housing unit. That was the bad part, because you get in trouble, they go put you in this part of the prison where there's no sunlight, you're in there, your cell 24 hours a day and all this old stuff. So, but I never got to that part of the prison. I got to the main line, but it was new, and it was bad. Fortunately for me, I was only there for 2 months, but a guy got shot and killed on the yard during the time I was there.
I didn't kill. How you get a gun in there?
No, the guard shot him.
Oh, the guards. Oh, I was about to say, I was like, one of the inmates shot him. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, the guards. It was a young Mexican guy.
COs will shoot the prisoners in there.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the level, like the security level of the prison. So when you go in and you have a murder, you're going to go to the highest level, which is the level 4. So that's maximum security.
What would make a CO want to shoot an inmate? Because I'm pretty sure they have other alternatives where they don't have to.
Yeah, they have like rubber bullets and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But what it is in there, if they deem one inmate is endangering another inmate, like he may, seriously harm or kill another inmate, then they have the, legal right to shoot with deadly force to break up that fight or melee or whatever. And I don't know exactly the details of, what position this young guy was in, but he was on the yard fighting. I don't know if he had a knife on him at the time or what, but yeah, the guard in the guard tower, they'll yell, "Get down!" Sometimes they don't necessarily have to yell, "Get down," break it up. If they see it, they can just shoot. And whatever I wasn't on the yard at the time, but yeah, they came. It was a young Latino guy, and yeah, they shot and killed him. I was like, whoa, so
Crazy, man, crazy stuff.
yeah.
What would you consider to be like the most depressing part of your prison sentence? Like, did you go through depression in there? I mean,
Oh
28 years.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, 28 years. You go through depression. My first 7 years, I was I would have to say I was it didn't hit me. Like it hits you when you first get sentenced, and you realize like, man, 25 to life. You don't really know what you're in for. You just know you're finna do a lot of time. So that part was very depressing, leaving your mom and your family and all this old stuff. But once I got up in there and I, started seeing, homies, people that I knew and all this old stuff, I didn't think about the time. My whole thing was, you know, surviving, and at one point, at that point, I was like trying to get into the Bible and whatnot, try to help me, get through this. And, I got into the Bible when I was fighting my case, but I got into it, but it didn't stick to me because once I got sentenced, I pretty much threw it away and I was back to, my old self, and, just trying to survive that place and whatnot, not even thinking about the time. But then probably about 7 years in, that's when it really hit like, damn, man, I'm up in this piece, man. And it's not fun. I'm missing my family, no women,
that's
depending
what I
on.
want the youth to really, really get out of this interview is because, usually, like you said, like last time we spoke, you said a lot of people who talk about their prison life, they always trying to glorify it and always trying to make it seem like it's a fun place to go. They don't talk
Yeah,
about the bad. They don't talk about how you're away from your family, you're not getting any girls, you're not fucking no bitches, you're not
yeah.
doing nothing that you would do as a free man. So that's why your decision making while you're young is so important because it can impact your future literally.
Yeah, for real, for real. And that's how it is. I mean, it's like, and depending on where you're at, the extremes of the weather, super cold in your cell, especially if you go to the hole, you get in trouble trying to be down for the homies. Now you're in the hole, they only give you one blanket, you know what I'm saying, or a sheet. You can't have your thermals and whatnot in the hole, so it's super cold.
And they have the
Um,
AC on all night because I've been through the bookings probably like 15 times in my life, but I never made it past central booking. He's always because it's been minor stuff like hopping the train, hopping the bus, stuff like that.
yeah,
And the reason I find you so inspirational is because the longest I've been in jail, I'm like, not even prison. The jail is like 22 hours, and then
yeah,
I see the judge sends me home. In those 22 hours, I wanted to kill myself. I'm not gonna lie,
yeah,
I couldn't
yeah,
do it. I'm like, yo, this
yeah,
is crazy. Like, you're locked in the room. You can't go anywhere. It's like, and then you got somebody next to you. He's taking a shit. He farting, and it's like,
yeah.
how do you manage to live like that for such a long time? It's like I couldn't do it for one day. I couldn't even do it.
Yeah. I mean, PTSD will set in on you at some point if you're not careful, And yeah, sleeping, in the same cell with another guy. The guards are mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't really get at the guards like you want to, and you always hear that, man. If I was out and you was out, if you didn't have that badge or whatever, the guards notice. And they're super chicken shit. Now you're just sitting there waiting on a letter, hoping you get mail from your family. When
Yeah,
you go to the yard,
the day that I was in the bookings, it was like four other people in my cell, and the toilet was flooded. So people
Yeah.
were taking a shit on top of shit.
Yeah.
It's like they don't clean that. There's nothing you can do about that. You just have to
Yeah.
sit there while that shit is just there. It's like this is the worst living condition. It's like
Yeah.
it's really torture what they do to a lot of
Yeah.
them.
And just imagine you want to go outside right now. Like if you want to go, pause this video, go to the store and grab you a brewski. You know what I'm saying? Not only can you not just go out and grab anything when you want to, but when you go outside, just imagine you got to get naked. Like, okay, you can go to the store, Arthur, but first you got to take off all your clothes. You know what I'm
To,
saying? We want to
to
see you in
another
your
man.
mouth.
To another man.
To another man, you know what I'm saying? You got to, raise your hand, lift up your nut sack, you know what I'm saying? Turn over, squat and cough 3 times. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they want you to spread your butt cheeks and cough 3 times. This is what you got to do every time you go to the yard up in there, depending on the security level that you're in. Where I was at, it was like that a lot of times. You can't go to the yard without, no matter what the weather is. Now, if you're hooked up to a gang, a lot of times the gang culture is mandatory yard. So it can be, 30 degrees, raining, snowing, super windy. Like, man, I don't want to go. I just want to kick back, read in the cell, study, watch the game or whatever. But no, you have to go to the yard because you're a part of that gang system where it's mandatory yard.
Yeah, Brad in the chat, he makes a good point. I don't know if you're familiar with Kai Cenat, the YouTuber. He's a young kid from the Bronx, and he did a live stream. Yeah, Kai Cenat.
Oh, he be doing the reaction videos.
Yeah.
I'm up on him.
He did a video of like how it is to be in prison for like I think it was a week or something.
Yeah,
and it was making it seem like it was fun. Like they had girls, they was partying, having fun, and I think that's all part of the mind control to make people feel like. Because I really think that prison is another form of slavery. They that's why they give us the laws. They know that we're gonna break it. I mean, there's too many laws.
Yeah.
It's impossible for people not to break at least one of them in their lifetime. And then you end up getting in the jam, and then they give us the movies to join the gang. Because we was talking about that before. We said around that time when gang life was so popular in LA, that's when all the gang movies, all the gang movies was out. Colors,
Boys in the
Hood, Menace to Society.
Yeah,
all those movies were very popular. And before that, it was Scarface, and then you had all the drug dealers, right?
Yeah,
So there's definitely a plan to get people in prison. And the fact that this kid was making it seem like prison is fun is almost like to get to put it in the youth's mind that, okay, if you do go and commit a crime, it's okay because this is how jail looks like. But that's not the reality.
Yeah, and people don't know the corporations are invested in these prisons, because you got when you buy packages, care packages, Nabisco, Keefe, Folgers, all these companies are invested in that because they're like, okay, this young person ended up going to prison. He's going to be buying my products. So they are advocates for building more prisons. They are advocates for draconian laws,
that's a good point.
stricter sentencing laws, to whereas if you get sentenced to something, you're going to be in there longer, rather than a short amount of time, because you're going to be in there buying their products. So they are invested in these prisons.
And a cup of noodles is not the same price in prison that it is in the supermarket out here.
Right, exactly.
So they're able to sell their products probably 5-6 times more expensive than what it really is. So
and the cold thing is that people don't realize, like some of these guys that are locked up that are working in there, and they're getting 10 cents an hour, 20 cents an hour, even up to $1 an hour. They working for companies that are outside of the prison. You know what I'm saying? But when they come home, they can't work for that same company because they got a record. And it's like, well, goddamn, I was just working for your ass when I was locked up state. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. So the reason they do hire you in prison is because they get to pay you what 20,
cheap,
30 cents?
yeah,
Oh,
cheap labor. Yeah,
wow, it's just such a
yeah,
scam, man. It's such a scam, and people don't even realize. And that's why terms like capital punishment equals 201, the judge would order number. And is it because they're the ones behind all the it's really a sick system, and I think
yeah,
that us dark skinned people in this country, we are the number one targets for these jails. They
yeah,
want us to be in there.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, think about it. Those movies are black movies.
yeah,
The
yeah.
music, it's
Doing music. That's
part of
why
the
they
black
promote.
culture.
That's why they push. That's why they push the negative music. You know, early '90s, late '80s, they wasn't pushing the negative music like that. It was out, but they wasn't pushing it. It was. I think it was even, if not more so, leaning towards positive. You remember the Black Fist
Yeah,
movement
the
and
hip hop
Chuck
when the hip
D's
hop
and
when it started, it was very conscious.
yeah,
It
yeah,
went away from that.
yeah. It
The
was by
NWA
design
and
that they went away from that. It was by design. People they want to say, well, people like this more. No, they like it more because that's what y'all push. You know what I'm saying? You ever heard a song on the radio that you're like, oh, this shit is garbage, but they play it so much, next thing you know, you
stuff.
singing along to it. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And
That's
that's
real.
how it is. That's why they call it programming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So no
Well,
women,
yeah. No women in there.
no
Damn.
women. And the cool thing is they got these. We call them punks, but they call them trannies now or whatever. They got them in there. You know what I'm saying?
The FAGs.
FAG, yeah, and it's like, they kind of like trying to push you towards messing with them. They in California, they gotta give out condoms now in prison. What the hell?
Oh shit.
You know what I'm saying? They
What are you
giving
using
out
that for?
condoms in prison. They got them in the day room. You can just go grab them and whatnot. And it's like, come on now.
Well, who the condoms for? Yo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They for the inmates to
Oh
get
my.
out with the inmates.
Oh my.
You know.
What a sin.
Yeah, it's that bad. And now they had that. They pushed that probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I was already out, but I still, contact, stay in contact with a few of my guys up in there. And yeah, that's how it is, man. It's
Now, let me ask you an honest question. Do you think the world would be a better place without the prison system? And because I don't think so. I think we do need, because I think there are a lot of sick people out there, but
yeah,
there are a
yeah.
lot
I
of
don't
people
I
that
don't think
don't
so.
deserve the sentences that they get.
Yeah, I don't think so, because if you in order to take away the prisons totally, you would have to undo what y'all had already did to lead to the explosion of prisons and prison inmates. The advertising that y'all do, the music that y'all pump, the TV shows, the movies, all this old stuff. It encourages violence. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if you take away the prisons, that stuff ain't gonna stop. And of course, they got this. It's almost like a pedophile culture that they trying to push through. They sexualizing, these youngins and whatnot. And I believe that there's a group of pedophile people at the top, these elites. They trying to get that legal. So it's like, for them, yeah, I do feel that prison is needed. You know what I'm saying?
I agree
So
too.
yeah, you gotta get rid of that push, and then once you wipe that out, then you won't need prisons like you do right now.
I think that as long as, like you said, as long as the music is toxic, and as long as there's poverty, there's always going to be crime.
Yeah,
Crime is always going to exist,
yeah.
and yeah, it's just
It's
unfortunate.
it's a greed it's a greed thing, man. America, I look at America's leadership as a bunch of sellouts, because you can, if I'm a lobbyist, as long as I have a bag for Congressman X or Congresswoman Y, they're going to push whatever I want, for legislation. They're going to push that, for the money. And they have no conscience. You know what I'm saying? So they go push the bullshit. you know.
Do you have a message you want the youth to, if somebody, a young person is watching this video, do you want them to get out of this video, like just one message of how or what should they do if they are caught in a situation where they have to, like your situation where your peers is influencing you to do something that you know you shouldn't be doing, and but yeah, you feel so pressured to do it. What message can you tell that person how to deal with that type of situation? Like, what can they
Well,
do in that type of situation? Something like if it was you back, if you was to go back in time, what would you tell the younger you?
I would definitely tell the younger me, um, well, you gotta be courageous. You gotta be able to stand up to what you believe in. All right. Don't put yourself in a situation to where, as you know, you ain't gonna be able to resist this guy's influence. So don't be around that guy. You know what I'm saying? That was my problem. Why am I around this guy? Why am I letting this guy come around, my circle, if I know, not just that guy, but all them people, you know what I'm saying? Um, uh, um, every decision that you make for your homies, in favor of your homies, is a decision against your family. And that's one thing I really learned when I was locked up, because I didn't have to do 28 years. I would have got out a lot sooner, but I got so involved in the gang stuff. I went from being this scared little kid on the street, from kind of leery of all these gang members, these aggressive gang members. I made a decision to go do this crime with this gang with this gang member for this gang, hoping that I would take some type of power back. They won't ask me to do this anymore or whatever. I won't have that self-consciousness. So I'm going to go on and do this, get it over with. And that was the frying pan. So when I got locked up, I went into the fire. Now I'm around these people all the time. I can't get away from them. You know what I'm saying? And then I became them. So I rose to the top of that gang culture, to where it's now I'm calling shots, telling people what to do, who to beat up and all this old stuff. So it finally took me to realize, like I was telling you before, man, if I stick to this G code, I'm going to end up on death row somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to get out of here if I continue to make these decisions based on this G code, based on the homies. You know what I'm saying? Every decision I make to ride with the homies, ride with this gang, is a decision against me returning to my mom, returning to my brothers. You know what I'm saying? And some of these gangs do have blood in, blood out. You know what I'm saying? The gang that I was from didn't have that. So I was able to go to them and be like, look, man,
What
I'm
is
done.
blood in, blood out? That means you have to, the only way you get out the gang is if you die or something.
Yeah. Yep. Only
Oh,
way you get out if you die, or we gotta boo-bop you. We gotta beat you up, or you know what I'm saying, we gotta really put a hurting on you. For where I'm from, it's mainly the black gangs that are not like that. It's more like the Latino gangs. They're more, not all of them. I can't really say what their culture is, in and out. But I know out here they're more like that. They don't, they're a little bit more organized, a little bit more ruthless, out here, as far as the gangs, with the Latinos or whatever. But yeah, don't get in it. Whatever you do, don't get in it. What do you think about what you love to do? If you love to fight, then yeah, there's a way that you can fight and make money. You know what I'm saying? There's boxing, golden gloves and all of those stuff. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta join a gang just so you can fight these people that, more than likely people ain't fighting nowadays anyway. They quick to pull out a gun. So whatever you love to do, focus on that. And I know as kids we get bored quickly with something, but whatever you like to do, if you get bored with it, something else go replace it. Do that. Focus on that. You know what I'm saying? Don't, that gang stuff is it's for the birds, because you go end up, with no women, and no family.
No
You go
freedom, no
no
nothing.
freedom,
No
Yeah.
family.
No family, and you gonna have somebody else telling you what to do. You're gonna have to, strip down naked, not for women, but for a guard, So yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look.
Well, I really appreciate you, Damon. Thank you for sharing your story. And like I said, man, you're very inspirational, man. The way, like you seem so normal. Like if you would have never told me that you was in prison, I would have never been
Yeah,
able to tell because you don't seem like a person that's been, messed up
yeah,
mentally. Most of the people that I know that came home,
yeah,
and not even like I don't know if I know anybody that did that much time. I think the longest probably somebody did was like 15 years, and I was like one of my he's my cousin's brother. He's not even related to me. And the
yeah,
longest he did, and he came out cuckoo in the head. I'm like,
yeah,
he only did 15 years, and I'm like, damn. But
yeah,
Damon did 28, and he seems like a very normal person, man. It's like
yeah. Well,
you
I
were
did
definitely
get
able to
back.
keep staying in there.
I did get back into, I did get back into the word. I did get back into God, and I attribute it to that. At one point, maybe 10 years before I got out, I made it a point, and I was still into doing criminal stuff at this time, but I made it a point to change up my language, so I didn't cuss as much. I stopped using, the N word as much. I wanted to start moving like a citizen. You know what I'm saying? Rather than that gang member that I was, no sagging, no saying cuz all the time. So it was a mental, I did it on purpose to just change. Like if you'd have knew me maybe 20 years ago, then like if you heard me then, you'd be like, okay, this guy, he's kind of turned up.
He's still turned up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got it turned up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it takes effort. Studying the dictionary and all that type of stuff. That stuff Malcolm X was doing when he was locked up and all of those stuff.
And the most
Reading
important
books.
thing that you said in this interview is the people who you surround yourself with, that's who you end up being, right? So if you
Yeah,
was around this crazy person, even though you're not that crazy person, you end up doing something crazy just like he did. And then
yeah,
it becomes two crazy people instead of just one.
yeah. You don't need to align yourself with no more. I would say no more than four. No more than four people. Normally you got one or two dudes that are your road dogs, but four people can make a fist, and that's solid enough. You know what I'm saying? You and four other people, that's solid enough. But yeah, either you're gonna surround yourself with people that's going to influence you, or that you can influence. You know what I'm saying? And either way, you want it to be positive. You want to surround yourself with people that are smarter, more learned than you, so they can influence you to be better. Or you want to surround yourself with people that you can lace, you can teach. You know what I'm saying? Or a mixture of both.
All right, I appreciate you, Damon. I think we can leave it there.
All right.
Any final words you want to say, or
No, man. Well, I'm out here. I'm just, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be home. I'm doing music here and there. So you can check out, one of my songs. Matter of fact, I got a song called Marinate, um, that you can check out. As my stage name is Roselion. So check out Roselion, Marinate. It pretty much speaks on a lot of the stuff that we was talking about. I'm singing and I'm doing a little rapping in it. So check that out. And
hopefully
yeah,
you can do
man.
a song for the gematria community one day.
Say that again.
So hopefully you can do a song for the gematria community one day.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I can definitely do that. I can definitely do that. As
I think
long as
we
you keep
definitely need
teaching.
more music and more because I think that's what people are paying the most attention to is the entertainment. So maybe
Yeah,
put some truth in there
yeah,
and get
yeah.
buzzing.
No doubt. No doubt.
All
Yeah,
right,
man.
David, I appreciate you. We'll talk some more, and thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
All right. No problem. No problem.
All right, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend, and thank you for joining us today. Please hit the like, share, and if you have any questions for Damon, please leave a comment, and I'll definitely let him know what questions you have for him. And then if he has to come back and answer them, he'll probably do that for you guys.
Yeah, they can follow me. They can follow me on Instagram. I got Roselion official. That's my name on Instagram. So they can follow me there.
Absolutely. All right,
All right.
Damon. We'll talk. Thanks a lot, man. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.
Peace.